Hey, I'm Pastor Cecile Abba, a counselor by profession from Let's Chit Chat UK. This is the right space to explore real-life issues affecting real people. We provide professional counseling to individuals, couples, organization, schools, church, and others. Follow, share, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Let's Chit Chat UK.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself. This is Let's Chit Chat. My name is Pastor Cecile, and we have on the other side, Jackie, do you have to present yourself?
Hi, nice to be here today, this evening, sorry. I'm Jackie. I've been on the show quite a few times with Cecile and her colleagues, and looking forward to the chit chat today.
Oh yes, we are definitely looking forward for tonight. Unfortunately, we don't have Pastor Enoch today. We don't have Odile today. We don't have Richard today, but hopefully we see them very soon. So tonight we are really talking about mental health. Mental health is a very big issue. It's really what makes us mental health. Is as our mental health, I will say is us. So mental health is a really serious issue. It looks to be small, but it's a really big issue. So mental health, we look at mental, some people say, what is mental health? When people are talking about mental health, what do they really mean? What does it say? What is it really? So mental health is really referring to our cognitive behavior. So it's our cognitive behavior, and emotional behavior, emotional well-being. So it's really about the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we behave. So the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we behave. So I'm going to really pass it on to Jackie, because Jackie actually did her counseling really on CBT, which is really mainly talking about behavior. It's a behavior therapy, cognitive behavior. Jackie, what do you think about mental health?
Right, I believe, because I was school counsellor and I found a lot of adolescents, because I was dealing with adolescents like 11 to 18 year olds, a lot of them were suffering more with mental health, anxiety, panic attacks, depression mainly, during the pandemic, especially not having a routine by going to school, having homeschooling. They were feeling isolated, a bit lost, and obviously when they come back to school they were trying to get their well-being up and running, but it did have a big effect on people.
Jackie, I love what you just said. You said something, not having a routine. So really, when people think about mental health, we are looking at people having a routine, being too busy, but you just said so also about people not having a routine. How does that affect our health, our mental well-being?
Yeah, it's well-being, it's something to get up, because obviously they're in a routine, they're getting up at a certain time, they're getting ready, they're leaving the house, they're going to school, they're socialising, and I just feel that talking to these adolescents as well, counselling them, they actually was like suffering worse with mental health conditions during the pandemic.
So Jackie, we often enough feel like or think that it is just something that hits adults, but now you're talking about children suffering a lot of mental health. Sometimes we think because adults have so many things going on in their lives, so the mental health become difficult or poor or affected or really struggling with it. But now you're talking about children, Jackie.
Yeah, it's quite surprising how many how many adolescents and even younger children, I mean, I haven't worked with younger children, but how many children and adolescents do suffer with mental health? And obviously you cannot talk about anxiety without depression and vice versa, because they normally are linked together. So, you know, if someone's suffering from depression, they normally have some kind of anxiety as well. But, you know, as a CBT therapist, I'm sort of challenge the thoughts to think of more positive thoughts, more positive well-being. We used to talk about slow breathing, deep breathing, relaxation techniques, and, you know, just to make the individual feel better about themselves, and trying to catch them negative automatic thoughts to make them into positive ones.
Brilliant. I love that, for negative thoughts to make them to have positive thoughts. Welcome, Richard, on board. Richard, we definitely miss you. We haven't seen you for a very long time. Richard, we are talking about mental health. I know that is something that you're really expert in and something that you know a lot more. Jack is talking about not having a routine that can affect our mental health. And Jackie just spoke about negative thoughts and making people to have positive thoughts. Richard, I said earlier on that, really, to me, how I think of mental health is the way we feel, we think, and we behave or we act. So the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act, that is what is all combined in our mental health. And mental well-being is really is us really who we are and what we are. So Richard, Jackie was saying two things, 2 points. Positive thoughts or negative thoughts, then not having a routine. We mainly think that when we have a routine and it's too much, we're doing too many things and we're handling too many things, that can easily affect our mental well-being. But now we're talking about not having anything going on at all. What do you think, Richard? What do you think about mental health?
Well, I was wondering if my mental health was a cause for concern, because I'm hearing some echoing. I'm hearing my own voice, and I was hearing your voice echoing. Jackie seems to be
that's
coming
not
through.
your mental health. It's a reality. The voices are
reality. It's a Seal's computer.
So it looks like my one and your one, they both have some kind of mental issue if they start on the computer. But
My goodness gracious. It's very awkward. It's a little bit off-putting. I must say, I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. Mental health is a very interesting topic. As I was reflecting on it, I was thinking of the two words combined, mental and health. Mental well-being is a very interesting topic, because on the face of it, you'd think that in light of recent events and narratives, that mental well-being and mental illness are proliferating on a negative trend. But haven't we always had mental health concerns, but dressed up as, for example, depression, excessive boredom, as Jackie alluded to, negative thinking?
Yeah, we have. Sorry, Richard, to interrupt. Yes, we have, but it's more recognisable now. There's been more research about it where people weren't so open to talk about it because it was all hush, hush, hush. And now people are actually opening up. They're talking about it, you know. There's a lot of people suffering from mental health, and especially young men as well, believe it or not, you know, because the suicidal rate is quite high, and it's really nice that men in general can be open and talk about it, because many years ago men were seen as the superior, and they would never discuss depression or anything else.
It would be chin up, a case of chin up.
Oh, right, okay.
Men don't cry.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you just said my chin's down. Yeah. So no, it's really good that society nowadays is more aware of things and more acceptance of what goes on, and there's a lot of help out there as well.
I think you've touched on a very important matter. Of course, the world is made up of males and females, and men not traditionally being upfront and encouraged to express their emotions is something that is a real concern, and fortunately, and increasingly so, there are more opportunities and avenues for men to express, to share, and to talk about their concerns in safe environments. It's interesting because I have made mention of a book I had written, a collection of poems entitled The Maze of Reason. And I found it extremely therapeutic and cathartic in that I was able to express thoughts, opinions and feelings that not only myself, but I believe many other men and women shared with regards to relationships, frustrations, unrequited love, hurt, rejection, uncertainty, shyness, and of course now that we're in this unusual social distancing pandemic type situation, a lot of isolation has brought about reflection, uncertainty, loneliness, and I'm hoping that as the days and weeks and years go by, that men can feel ever more confident to break out of their shell and be, quote unquote, themselves. As a black man, I feel extremely strongly about encouraging men to break out and to feel free with their partners, as well as those agencies that you both will have made mention of or will make mention of, and that there is support out there. But our nearest and dearest are often our very best form of therapy. I'd like to ask Sister Cecile and your good self, Jackie, to what degree is there a stigma that may still exist where women are concerned that men should be the strong, silent type who can overcome everything thrown at them?
Right.
And
Okay.
is there a stigma, or is it less so in your experiences? Jackie, go ahead.
Right, okay. I think it's less now, but as I was growing up, it was always a stigma case. The men don't cry. They have got no problems. If someone did have a problem, it was like money. But now I think we have more counselling, we have more facilities out there that people can actually, men themselves can actually talk to. They can go to men's clubs, they can express how they're feeling and feel they're not actually alone.
I think that's a very important point there, very strong point. They're not alone. They're not alone. Sister Cecile.
I think, Richard, before you said about men, is because from generations to generation, men always, I think it's something that men put themselves forward to portray themselves as the stronger of the society. And again, because coming from generation, the Bible puts that man was created first, then woman created after a man. So really, man always comes first. So if man comes first, that means man must endure. That is how the society places man, as really is the one who knows best, the one who is supposed to be the first, and the one who is supposed to endure more than a woman will endure. And again, society put men from generation in a way that women were not allowed to be in some places, occupied some positions in society, speak in front of men, or so that carried on. And with that, it put men in a very difficult and awkward position. So if a man is placed as being able to occupy a certain position and a woman cannot do that, so that automatically informs men's brain that they have to be able to cope with everything, even when it's harder. Now, how can you come from that level where you have placed yourself up there that a woman cannot be, and then you come back and express how you are done, how you are weak, how you can face the same issue as a woman can face. So it becomes then difficult that a man has placed himself up there. How can he then come back and put himself down here? So then it became an expectation of the society, of men themselves to start with, not even women asking men to be like that, men themselves putting themselves in that position. Then it becomes difficult to reverse back and be human, because really admitting that you have a problem is just being human, being yourself. So then it became difficult for men to be themselves, like you said, quote unquote, be real. Richard, we are not hearing you.
No, we can't hear you, Richard.
My apologies. Would it be fair to say that in certain African societies that pressure is multiplied?
Richard, you're very right, 100%, even more than 100% right. Even Jackie, you remember when we did our counseling course, it was more or less African scenario that we were getting. Ethnic minority, not just African, black and ethnic minority scenario that we were getting more than the white scenario, because it was always black and ethnic minority who were trying to hide their mental health, trying to cover it with alcohol, trying to cover it with drinking, smoking, maybe becoming bad in society, because they are actually hit so badly and they don't want to admit that I have a problem or I have an issue, because their community expects them not to have an issue, to be a man. So therefore, instead of them having that issue and admitting that issue, they will compensate it with something else, either drinking to run away from it, or smoking to run away from it, or becoming abusive to run away from it. So one way or the other, that ended up coming out still in a very, very bad way. And again, our society, or black and ethnic minority society, still carries this stigma. In when someone has a mental health issue, they look at you as less of a man, less of a woman. So everyone is worried about having this stigma of being men, having something that is going wrong in the mental, and then they've been pushed aside. They've been seen as a less of a human, or less capable, or less able. And that really affects our men, even our women, quite a lot.
Yeah, can I just point something out? I can totally understand where you're coming from, Cecile, with the African community, but I just believe myself, because people become more open to it. People are reading more about it. I mean, you know, so it has become more worldwide about mental health and people not being so much of stereotype or discrimination. Even though some people are, I'm not saying everyone's not, but I'm just saying it's more out there for people to find out about it. And if they don't know, then there's like loads of leaflets, there's Google to look up, and yeah, and in most case scenarios there's things like substances can trigger it off, trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, it could be a hereditary from a decade or a century ago and something's just triggered it off. So, you know, there's all these factors to consider as well. And people being stressed, stress can cause a lot of things like depression, anxiety as well. So, yeah, you know, it's a wide topic to talk about actually, and there's so much to learn. I mean, you could be talking about it all day, but you know, thank God there is leaflets, there is help out there with people, you know.
Jackie, it's interesting that you mentioned how prevalent and widespread and how big a topic it is. I've recently been involved in some YouTube shows in the vloggers sphere, it's called, the sporting arena, and looking particularly at Jamaican football. And in light of certain disappointments that have befallen the Jamaican footballing community, it's interesting that when it came to criticism and criticizing the players, even constructive criticism, it was very interesting that it was pointed out in certain circles, and I fully empathize with their stance, that we had to be careful how we spoke, what we spoke, and how cutting such criticism towards individuals could be. How aware? And yes, I need to.
Yeah, okay.
I've got my
Can I
cup
just
ahead.
say one thing?
Oh, of course.
Right, because obviously they used to say bisexual gay was a mental illness. Me and Cecile know that because we were doing a module on it, and they advertise actually. It's like advertisement on the TV is brilliant as well, and there was advertising footballers saying they're getting discrimination because they're gay. And obviously this was leading to depression and feeling a bit isolated, not wanting to be in the team and things like that. So I think social media as well can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing.
I would fully concur. I mean, from your point of view and perspective, where does one draw the line? You know the old saying about having a broad back and being able to take criticism, taking the hits on the chin. Do you think that we'd be a stronger or better society if we buttoned up and said nothing, treaded very lightly? What say you?
I believe personally everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So if someone doesn't want to listen and take that on board, then I think that makes them very arrogant, doesn't it, really? Arrogant and not worth talking to, you know, because everyone's entitled to an opinion, no matter what. Even if they're suffering from mental health, it could be depression, isolation. I mean, sometimes all someone needs is just someone to talk to, you know, and just by giving someone 10 minutes of your time sometimes can really make a difference.
Sister Sil, what say you?
I think what Richard just said and what Jackie you're saying is very important, because criticism can push someone off completely and damage
Oh
your
yeah, of
career,
course.
damage your mind, put your
Because there's
self-esteem
self-esteem, isn't
down, self-respect, even self-reputation for yourself. But then what is important is that, like Jackie said, we lost Richard.
We lost Richard.
We lost Richard. Richard will come back. Jackie, like you said, okay, Richard is back. So, like Richard said that people are somehow saying too much. How can we go, and how limited, or should we keep quiet? To me, I think people will always say, then the media have a way of controlling what people say to not really portray that negativity on what people are saying. Someone can say something, it doesn't mean the media has to go and repeat the same thing about the person. So they have ultimate control to what image they portray about human being are there. So if the media wants to portray you as evil, they will look for evil people to say evil thing about you, and they will put it there because they want to put that image about you out there. If they want to portray you as good, they will only look for good people to tell them good thing about you, and then they will push it out there to show you good. So that is the media's role. They play in that role often enough. We've seen it, and many people are suffering from it. Then I think it's left down to, like Jackie said, the people who actually surround that individual to make the person feel like, hey, the media have said it, but in our circle, in our environment, we don't believe it. You said about the players can be stigmatized, giving them rude word and giving them by the media. But if the team and the network of the team, the management, the other player, the person's family, the immediate associates, they value that person and make the person understand that whatever the media says about you is not you. We are here for you. This is what you're trying to do, and you're doing it to the best of your ability. Let those who want to say whatever they want to say. Then the person has the courage to bounce back and come with full force, because this is their connection talking to them, filling their ears. But if you have the newspaper talking on one hand, and your close allies or close associates are not boosting you up because they be living in the media, or they even feed in the media, then that's where mental health can really, really be damaged that fast. So really, people in their closer network, they have the duty to support them. Richard, you're muted.
Oh, you see, I'm used to muting and giving the floor to others, so they've got absolute clear way. So yes, when it comes to the vexed topic, one could say, of gossiping, Jackie, I'm not pointing fingers, Jackie.
Right, you're frozen. You're frozen. I can't.
When it comes to gossiping or reasoning, men call it reasoning, women could be looking at gossiping. We're generalizing here. Do you think that's a healthy outlet for individuals to ease any mental concerns, getting things off their chests, for want of a better phrase?
You was cutting out there, Richard. Can you say that again? Sorry.
Also, do you think that gossiping is a reasonable and positive, constructive outlet for people to tackle mental illness and increase mental well-being simply by sharing and getting things off their chest?
I believe by being able to talk to someone, maybe going to therapy, maybe going to counselling, does help. Because sometimes if you talk to family or really close friends, it can be too close and opinionating. So I believe going to a counsellor, maybe if you're really feeling bad and depressed or something, then go and talk to the doctor. You know, there is help out there.
Are you skirting the issue, Jackie?
Am
Jackie, are you skirting the issue, dodging the question? I was not
You keep
referring
cutting
to
out.
official. Sister Cecile, what's going on there? Can you hear me, Jackie? Are we receiving Jackie? Earth to Jackie.
I think we are receiving Jackie. I think what Jackie is saying, or what Jackie is probably trying to say is that, Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong. What Jackie is probably trying to say is that it might be, as you say, gossiping. It might be difficult to gossip to your closer one because they can make it worse instead of making it better. For you, gossiping to your closer one is a way of getting your burden out of your chest to release your mental health to feel better. Because if you are angry, you are upset, something is annoying you. If you speak it out, then you discharge of it instead of burdening you in. But then sometimes you might speak to the wrong person, and the wrong person might make the issue 20 times worse than it is or it was. And that might create other issues for you. So it's not just one issue, it becomes now double or triple because of what you have pour out to the person. But what the person doesn't understand is that is your cry out to actually get your mental health better. You are crying out to speak to someone who can just listen. They don't have to give you answers. They just have to listen for you to speak. And then once you finish, you feel better. But that person, therefore, can take it as a gossip and take it to someone else. To your understanding, it becomes a bigger issue out of proportion. So for that reason, Jack is saying you will therefore be better off to go to a doctor or a counselor where you know that your privacy will be sealed. So whatever you say, they will seal it, not say it, not repeat it.
And plus, the person, the counsellor or the doctor is not going to be judgmental. With someone that knows you really well, is going to say, oh, don't be like that, you should be doing this, or, you know, why are you feeling like that, or, you know, what's wrong with you, you know. So they're going to have their opinion because they're too close to you. Whereas if you go for professional help or counselling, they're just going to sit there, listen to you, talk about different ways of making you feel better, and, you know, obviously it'd be more professional.
I think that's a great
and it'd be confidentiality as well.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point, Jackie. Great point, Sister Cecile. Great point indeed. I wonder if you can twiddle me this, twiddle me that. Have you ladies experienced mental health issues? And if you're not willing to answer that particular question, then let me ask you hypothetically this. How comfortable would you be in sharing mental illness concerns where you were concerned?
Right, okay.
Or get me now, and this is actually a live concern where I know of a person who I have mental well being concerns over. However, I am not sure quite how to tackle the situation, bring it to light, highlight, empathize, share, and encourage the said individual to be forthcoming. They may feel that it's a slight, it's disrespectful, out of line, out of order. What say you, ladies? Hypothetically.
Jackie, do you want to go first? Or?
I'll let you go first on this one.
Ladies saying ladies first. What a state.
Thank you, Richard. Richard, I think to answer your question, if I should be honest, I will say that everyone has experienced mental health issues. Everyone. There's no exception at all. Every single individual has experienced mental health one way or the other. It might not be as worse as, but it doesn't mean that it hasn't happened one way or the other. The simple fact that you wind up about something that has happened, meaning that maybe that thing has happened twice or three times, now you are wound up not because of that issue, but because of the same issue is repeating itself. So it's something that you didn't deal with some years back, so it's now affecting your mental health. Have we all been upset with something that we should have been upset with? Yes, we all have been. And what is it? Is mental health. It's a trigger that it happened somewhere and you didn't deal with it appropriately. It's happening again, you're getting upset, you're getting wound up. That means there's something in your mind that is triggering what happened in the past. So it's mental health. Have we all procrastinated about work that we meant to do and we should be finishing and we put it on the side, we're looking at it, we are not doing it, we are saying tomorrow we'll do it the next day? It's mental health because you're running away from what you're meant to be doing now. So there's something, some fear, some anxiety, some stress kicking in, and you're not just able to face that work at that point. So what is that? Is mental health. Have we all been withdrawn where you look at your phone, someone is ringing and you don't want to pick it up and you're just thinking, oh, again, the phone is ringing down, you're fighting with a phone. It's not the phone, it's your mind that is really causing you problem to not want to pick that phone. So it is a mental health issue, it's a mental health problem. Which we all dealing with in one way or the other. Have you maybe booked an appointment with someone? At one point you start thinking, I really don't want to go. Not that because you're too busy, but you're just running away from the appointment. You just don't want, you don't feel like going. What makes you not feel like going? There's a problem that you haven't found out about is surfacing on you not wanting to go, but there's something deeper behind you, behind that not wanting to go than just not wanting to go. So it's some kind of mental health problem going on. So we all are having different ways of dealing with our mental health and they're kicking in. But then if you have a friend or have someone closer to you who has a mental health issue, some people mental health issue is just taking the wrong choices, making the wrong decision. It's something to do with their mind that is just not supporting them to be capable again to make up the right decision. Some people just may be saying yes to everyone who approaches them asking for something. They say yes even when they should say no. It's a mental problem because they're not able to face the reality and say, you know what, I'm tired, I'm not coming. No, I will not give it to you, I don't have, or whatever. They keep on saying no. It is what is mental health. So really approaching that person, whoever it is, depends on how you will make them understand that it's not a stigma, it's not because they are crazy or something, it's just you see them showing some signal and you think those signals are not normally them. On their best day, it's not them. So that means there's something that they should watch out. Is it just making someone be alert that I can see you are changing? And that change, I don't know what is
Frozen.
affecting it. So it's something on that line. That way you're not disrespectful to them, you're not stigmatizing them, you're not putting them down. It might just be as you telling someone, I can see you lost your smile. I can see you lost your sense of joy. I can see you look withdrawn. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's something, but whatever it is. So you don't have to go deep into that problem, but you can show them what you see on the glance, on the outlook. Maybe that will trigger them understanding that, okay, there's actually something that I'm battling with. Hence why smile has been taken away from me.
Right, okay, I'm gonna go. Right, okay, I have suffered with depression beforehand, and I've had anxiety, extreme anxiety. My way of coping with the anxiety was actually putting lavender drops on my pillow and smelling them, and also going for like power walk and exercising. Yeah, so I can relate to people that are going through anxiety, and I think, yeah, and depression is like, can be put on through tremendous amount of stress, it can be put on through trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, and various, it's a wide range of different things, you know. It could be family issues, it could be finances, it can be anything, really. So, yeah.
I think what this conversation has shown and brought to light is that mental illness does not have to be a stigma.
No,
We all
definitely
experience
not.
it. All experience it to one degree or another, in some shape or form. And it's all part of the social stresses of life, modern day life. It has been before, it's with us today, and may well be with us in the future. It's how we have strategies and agencies and that self-confidence and awareness that we are not alone.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
did
part of
find
being a human being.
Sorry, Richard. I did find helpful as well going counselling at the time, being able to talk to someone who
That's a
was
great help.
not going to judge me as well. So yeah, there's lots of help out there, you know. So don't be alone.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Are we reaching the conclusion point?
We are
Just
reaching the
as you said.
conclusion point. Good, Richard. I'm going to ask you a question, but I don't know if both of you can relate to that before we close. Richard said something about, you brought in something about ethnic minority, and then that triggered something in my mind. I said, oh, that's good. I don't know if you all watch EastEnders and see what's happening in EastEnders at the moment. I'm not too sure if you're EastEnders lover, but there is this man in EastEnders. He is a white man. Usually, always go for a black woman. He will marry black woman. Doesn't face marrying a white woman. He will a solicitor, was a prominent solicitor, but he marries black woman. But he's really abusive. Really abusive, and he goes for the beautiful and strong-minded, very strong character black girls, but before you know it, they become as weak as, I wouldn't even say it. He will abuse them, and he work in their mind in a way that when he starts abusing them, they cannot even say anything to anyone. They have pushed everyone away. He pretends to love them so much so that he makes them push everyone away, and then they start suffering with mental health, and they don't know who to talk to, how to talk to anyone. Even people who sees the trigger in them, and the people trying to talk to them, they say, no, he loves me. Without him, I will not be whatever I am or whoever I am. So it comes back to what Richard said, that in black and ethnic minority mindset, it could be looked as a stigma. It could be looked as still you're not strong enough. And because people are being taught to cope with so many things, and coping with so many things makes it very difficult for someone to acknowledge their mental health, to acknowledge that this is not is more than what I can support or chew, is more than what I can handle. At which point do I seek for help? Is it when it's too worse that I cannot have control over my life? When it's too obvious that I cannot help myself? Or when it's still manageable? Yeah, that's
I think you're going to be in danger of turning me into a EastEnders fan once more. I've not watched that show for a long while. It was Dirty Den and Phil Mitchell, the Grant brothers.
It's still there.
But yes, I will have a look. It's a sobering scenario that the show is painted. Thank you, Sister Cecile, to bring that to our attention. There's no smoke without fire, and truth is often stranger than fiction. So imagine that. Picture the scene: a strong-minded woman, be it black or white, any color, a strong individual, confident, being courted by a gentleman, only to be put down. Are we talking physical, verbal, emotional, physical abuse? Is it a mixture?
It could be a mixture. It could be.
It's a mixture of all.
Wow, that's truly sobering. Truly sobering. Sometimes there are lessons out there to be learned, and some we would prefer not to go through. So I hope that those watching the show will have picked up on this particular storyline and taken it as a sobering warning that these things can occur and indeed do occur, but there are means and ways to tackle it. Wait a minute, I've got one more quick question, if I may, Sister Cecile. Mental illness and mental well-being, watch me now, in church or religious circles, taboo or not taboo? That is the question. And of course, you know that there is an extreme to this where agnostics or atheists, some are of the mindset that belief is potentially mentally challenging to them. That's at the extreme of the spectrum. So yes, in church circles, how is mental health seen, or is it hidden? Taboo or not taboo? That's the question. Speak!
Jackie, do you want to go first?
All right. Okay. I think church is very spiritual anyway. So I mean, if someone doesn't want to go counselling, doesn't want to go to the doctors, then there's always the church, or there's always someone to talk to in the church.
Yes, like Jackie said, church is a spiritual place, but where physical people are gathered. So, in as much as it's a spiritual place where physical people are gathered, physical people still have physical needs, physical fulfillment. So, really, mental health in some churches is being looked at as a taboo, but at the same time it's also being supported because of the leadership can easily support people who have mental issue or mental health problem, but in a way when sometimes it's not easily picked up because of maybe too many people gathered in too many places and they come and go, and people out there are easily spoken to, or they speak easily. They express their opinion, they express their problem, they share their situation easily outside than in the church. Some people, when they get to the church environment, they feel like they have to conceal their issue, conceal their problem, conceal their situation, and it gets worse and worse and worse until they can no longer handle, then it pops out just like that. But when you're out there, you find it so much easy to speak to Richard about my problem. Richard, I need 50p. Can you help? Okay, if Richard can help, he will help me. If he cannot help me, we say, oh, Cecile, I don't have 50p. Maybe Sister Jackie, have you asked her what is she saying about it? Then I might go to Sister Jackie and I will ask her, she will give it me. It's not going to be a problem. But sorry, when it comes to the church environment, people feel that they need to hide their issue, they need to hide their problem, they need to hide their situation. They're worrying about, if I say to this person, then that person will know, then how will they look at me? So that way mental health problem becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until we can no longer handle, and then until we completely, our lives are completely damaged. But often enough in out there, people don't let their life damage that much faster than people will do it in church. So even though you might be there, want to support mental health in church, but then it takes the individual to open up and say what's going on in their lives.
Yeah. Well, what's going on in my life is hot
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for
it's reheating.
Thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you,
Jackie,
Cecile.
final
Thank
thoughts
you,
for
Richard.
tonight before we leave. Final thoughts for all our listeners. What you want to tell them tonight? What to do in case they really running down with their mental health? They don't know what to do. What advice can we give them, Jackie?
Yeah, I found the topic really good, and if anyone is suffering alone, please try and talk to someone. If you haven't got someone to listen to you and give you opinions that you don't want to hear, then please seek professional help. There is help out there.
Thank you, Richard.
No man is an island. No man or woman need stand alone. There's no shame in expressing your fears, concerns over mental well-being. You may be feeling isolated, exhibiting behaviors, feeling certain ways that you don't usually feel. Trust me, there are others who feel exactly like you. You know yourself like no one else does. But there are agencies and the old listening ear. Not from someone who's not going to be empathetic to your situation, but someone who's willing to listen, to simply
Well
listen
done.
non-judgmentally. Get what's on your mind, your concerns off your chest. That makes a big difference. In addition to, as Jackie rightfully said, agencies are out there over the internet, the phone book. There's lots of agencies that deal with mental well-being. It's a vital topic. You and you are
What happened?
vital and important. Treat yourself as you would like to treat others. Treat yourself well. Be well. Be well. Be well. Peace, Sister Cecile. Sister Jack. Over to you, Sister Cecile. A pleasure.
Thank you. That is very great. It's a great advice. You've heard both Jackie and Richard. Love yourself, treat yourself well. There are help out there, there's support out there. So please reach whoever you can reach to get a good support network. It's out there and it's free. Thank you. And this is Let's Chit Chat until we meet again. Have a blessed time. We love you and we say bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much for staying with us until the end. It's been wonderful discussing this topic. I was brought up to believe that any worries not talked about become bigger problems. There's no wrong reason to reach out. If you're going through these issues or you know anyone who is going through this issue, please reach my contact number below and I will ensure to reach you back. My passion in life is to see you having a healthier, a happier, and a more balanced life.